All right, changing the topic for a second. New Zealanders have always regarded themselves as, and rightly so, I think, as masters of invention. We are masters of invention because we're a long way from anywhere, and we've had to find solutions, and particularly the rural communities of New Zealand. The number 8 wire, we've always considered ourselves to be finding and engineering solutions for problems that we didn't know existed before they existed, and finding that solution. And a lot of that sort of what we call kiwi ingenuity, which is confined, I have to say, very much to the few. I certainly don't have it, and neither do most of us. But a lot of that kiwi ingenuity is extended through also into things like, well, having our own rocket company in this country. Much more successful, I have to say, than the British. And having our own rocket industry in this country, our own aerospace industry. Having our own filmmakers like Sir Peter Jackson and those who are pioneering technology, Weta in particular in Miramar down in Wellington, pioneering film technology. Yes, but also a little closer to home and perhaps a little more recreational, but nevertheless, a group of entrepreneurs from Hawea Flat, which is the flat part really sort of in between Wanaka and Lake Hawea, have come up with this idea, and haven't just come up with this idea, have turned this idea into reality to create what would appear to be the very first, world first, artificial surf wave product in New Zealand. And joining us to talk about that is one of those founders of Your Wave, yes, 2 words, Your Wave, capital Y, capital W, is Ross McCarthy, and he joins us now. Ross, good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Morning, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Ross, you're 39 years of age. You are a tradie, although you're a tradie as I understand. You've completed this Your Wave project.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a tradie. I did a master's in product design a few years ago now. But we've basically come up with a new way of making stationary waves for surfing.
Okay. Now looking at a picture of it at the moment, which I'll put on our show a little bit later on our website. But it is designed essentially, I've seen them overseas, but I've never seen it in New Zealand. You create an artificial wave and then you can surf this artificial wave, yeah?
Yes, correct.
Why do I want to do that? Because I'd have lots of fun, or because it's going to improve surfing, or because to a place that doesn't have any surf, because it's the furthest part, I think, from any surf in New Zealand, Central Otago. You're giving an opportunity, or you're going to make lots of money out of it, or all of these things?
Probably all of those things. One of our sort of biggest attributes, I suppose, compared to our overseas competitors, is we've got the first the most versatile stationary wave. So we're setting up waves for my daughter who's 3 years old. So we can set up a wee wave for young kids, and then we're also going right up to a 2 metre high barrelling wave, which is for your more experts. Obviously you can't chuck your 3-year-old in a 2 metre high barrelling wave. It's not going to work out too well. But none of our competitors can really do that, and we also use a painted and inflatable structure. So we've based the simplest way to put it is you're surfing on a bouncy castle. So it brings that sort of soft impact to it and makes it a lot softer. So that caters for, we can bring someone that just wants to have fun in general public's never been surfing before but wants to give it a go. We can bring them in and they can have a go and get the sort of surf feeling in a realistic environment without having to even set foot in the ocean. There's a lot of variables in the ocean. You've got to be able to paddle out in the surf for a start, which takes quite a lot of fitness and to get onto proper waves, whereas you can just come here, hold onto a rope, we push you into the wave, and usually generally after about 4 or 5 goes, the person's up and surfing the wave for the first time.
That's fantastic. Now I'm looking at a picture of it. It doesn't look very big. So in other words, gosh, it would be the size of probably about a 50-metre swimming pool, the entire complex?
God, yeah, the entire complex probably is, yeah. The wave pool itself is only around 15, 16 metres wide by about 30 metres long. And this is sort of we're calling it our sort of standard. You can go you could go 3 or 4 times the size if you wanted to. It sort of comes down to what the customer requirements are in the budget, I suppose, because they're obviously not the cheapest things in the world to build. But as an entertainment point of view, it's actually a really good financial model.
Yes, sorry, it is an extraordinary thing. I've skimped on the introduction to this because you built a secret prototype about 12 years ago, according to what I'm reading at the moment. You pitched to investors. You won a Callaghan Innovation Research and Development grant. And then you kept it quiet, I guess, because you were scared of being scooped by other competitors or others in the area, yeah?
Yeah, it was not all like where you had to get. So we've got worldwide patents on it now.
Right.
And sort of part of that patent process, you got to keep it quite quiet for a wee while. And then we had a prototype. Having a prototype in Dunedin, by the time we were running that, we sort of had our patents put together. But I'm sort of the person that doesn't want to go, hey, look, I'm building this amazing wave pool before I've actually built it. So throughout the first, 5 or 6 years, it was kept pretty hush-hush. We had a warehouse in Dunedin and a few people came in and surfed it. And, well, fortunately for us, it actually went a lot better than expected. We merely tried to do this on the concept that it was going to be a lot safer, but when we built the prototype, we realised that by changing air pressures and the forms, we could actually manipulate the size and shape of the wave. So that sort of took on a bit more R&D. So we've had a couple of 3 Callaghan grants now, and we had the initial prototype stage, and then we had another second stage where we developed on that prototype, and then the third stage is what you see here in hardware, which is sort of our final commercial model. But we're also doing a lot of R&D in this commercial model because we could only get a wave up to about a metre high on our prototype, whereas we're aiming to get a wave up to 2 metres high on this one. So we're still doing R&D, but we're ready to open up to the public soon as well.
No, fair enough. So this will be a serious tourist attraction, and I think it'll be on a lot of international tourists as well, who are always looking for something like this to do, but a lot of Kiwi kids too. How much would it cost me to go to your wave and pay to surf?
We're looking around sort of that $90 to $100 per hour per person, and you can run about 8 people. We run about 8 people per hour. And they basically just line up and one person gets on. Once he falls off, the next person gets on. So it's pretty quick turnover. You get quite a good experience in that sort of 1 hour ride. And otherwise we're going to do a locals because I think it's quite important to keep on board with the locals and people who want to surf it, once or twice a week. So we're going to start up a sort of locals deal, sort of like a surf club where locals might spend $40 or $50 a week and come in basically like a gym membership, and instead of going to the gym they can come out and we run the wave pool for a few hours every week for them, and they can come and have food and hang out. Now,
okay, this will be an attraction for hardware initially. Are you talking about making these, because it seems to me once you've got the model done you could construct them just about anywhere. Are you thinking about franchising them or creating others in other provincial and cities around New Zealand?
Definitely. We're not too sure whether we're going to go down a franchise model. Sort of I suppose the best option for us is we want people to see that our financial model works here. And then other people would buy the units off us and they would set them up in other areas in New Zealand and around the world. But also the franchise model is not off the table, but it's what we sort of work out with this model will determine how we proceed on sort of on a global scale, I suppose.
So your aim is the international market at the end of the day?
Oh, definitely. Like you could probably put 3 or 4, maybe 5 units in New Zealand, but we want to hit the global market. We're looking primarily overseas.
And you, I'm just looking at that surfing. Could you also, I suppose you couldn't, I was thinking about water skiing and things like that. Are you thinking of extending or wakeboarding? Could you do anything else as well? Or is it just surfing oriented?
Yes. No, definitely. So you'll see we actually have a tower on the photos, and that's basically come from the wakeboarding tower off a boat. So definitely we actually have the ability to set up wakes. We haven't gone too far down that track yet. But yes, we definitely have the ability to set up wakes for wakeboarding. We've got an idea for one of the first ever water half pipes. We sort of hold onto a rope, the water propels you propels you side to side, and then there's a half pipe ramp, like a skateboard ramp on either side that you can go up. And we're also looking at doing a specialised kayaking wave, sort of things that we can do in the future. And that's just because it's just so versatile. We can make other air forms for them and chuck them in there and play around with them and sort of cater for all water sports, really.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, when will, ordinary folk like me be able to take our kids along and ourselves to humiliate ourselves in front of our children and do this? When would we be able to commercially buy tickets to it?
We're hoping we're only a week or so out. We're trying to go through all our work safe. Yeah, we're trying to go through all our work safe requirements, which we believe we've pretty much met now. So yeah, we've just got to get the sort of work safe sign off, and then we've got to open up. We're kind of opening up in the middle of winter down here, which is quite freezing, and not the most ideal time to do it. I'm standing out above it at the moment on the bank in the sunshine, and it's beautiful. And I'm like, well, we'll probably open up and it'll be -5 degrees. But we are going to look at we want to put in warm showers and all that sort of stuff actually into the pool. So if people do want to come in winter, we've got wetsuits, booties, hoodies, and then we're going to try and run these 30-degree warm showers right around the edge of the pool. So when people are waiting in line, they're actually in a nice warm environment, and they can get on the wave, have a wee surf, and then jump back under a nice warm shower just to keep them warm. So hopefully we'll be running through winter.
Ross, fantastic. All power to you. Love to hear Kiwi ingenuity stories like this, and I'm sure that will go international. But I look forward to visiting it myself, and as I said, humiliating myself in front of my children. Thank you very much for joining us.
No, thanks very much, Michael.
Good on you, mate. That's Ross McCarthy, who is the founder of Your Wave. He's gone on with a couple of others. It's marvellous. Go if you've got the opportunity. Obviously, you'll be open in a week in Hawaii's. Put it on your list. So if you're going to come down the South Island, you're going to go through the Central Lakes area, you want to learn to surf.